Okay, hello. I am currently in Costa Rica. Woo! I'm that Nikki you know, and welcome to the Thursday Colors vlog episode 6. I went to the beach the other day and I collected all sorts of different like shells and stuff. Like this one's like really dark. But then there's also these like beautiful, just like pale, creamy colored ones. Right? Like look how cool this is. Stripy one. These ones are really pretty, but they're like, they smell bad. And oh, there's a spiky one. There was lots of coral. I had never really like seen like hardened coral like this. I found a cool speckled rock. I don't know why it's speckled, and I probably don't want to know. So that was my visit to the beach. I saw an iguana. There were lots of like little tiny lizards running around. I saw a monkey. We went to La Playa Buena and then La Playa El Coco, and we watched the beautiful sunset. Anyways, I've been listening a lot to the album. So Miss You came out last week. Without You comes out next week. And then the whole album comes out early March. It's really good. There's 9 songs on the whole album, and I'm going to tell you right now which songs are on this album. The first song is Silence. It was the first one of the album to be recorded, and we did technically release it as a single a little while back, but it's being remastered and we're tweaking all sorts of little things about it so it sounds even better than it did before. Silence is such a tearjerker of a song. I have a few friends who every time they listen to it, they cry. And this whole album, honestly, like there's a few songs that aren't tearjerkers, but for the most part, this is an album to cry to. So get out your Kleenex, get out your favorite stuffed animal, your teddy bear, and just like put it on and listen and cry and get it all out. That's what this album is all about. So Silence was a song that I wrote about a moment when I could have said or done something that would have radically changed my life at that time. And I didn't. I stayed silent. And this is something that I do a lot in my life, that I've been trying not to. I've been trying to work through this and speak up more. But it's hard. It's hard to speak up. It's hard to say what you want and ask for what you need. So much of my life, I've been silent. When I should have spoken up, when I should have done something, I often remain silent and paralyzed in fear. I think that's a very common experience for a lot of people, and many people don't move past that. It's really hard. When I was very young, like a small child, I was essentially mute. I didn't talk at all to anyone. I would play in the backyard, in the forest. I would sing to myself actually all the time. I would walk around the forest and sing to myself. That's how I learned to sing, really. I was so shy. I didn't feel comfortable making eye contact, saying hello. I was a very quiet kid. And as I grew up, there were more and more situations where I should have said something, I should have done something, and I didn't. And I think when I wrote Silence, that was kind of my breaking point. That was the point where I was so frustrated with that part of myself. I wanted to be able to move past that and to speak up and to not be silent anymore. So even though it's called Silence, it's a reminder to me not to be. Of course, there's some situations where you need to be silent, or some situations where silence is necessary or admirable or good. But for me, it was often a problem that I needed to overcome. So that's what Silence is about. I mean, there's a particular situation that it's about, but I'm not gonna go into that. The second song is Miss You, and Miss You just came out. You've already heard it. It's wonderful. Miss You is actually inspired by the same person that Silence was about, and I wrote them at around the same time in my life. And the thing about Miss You is it was about one person who, at this point, like, so much time has passed. I'm not attached to that person like I was, and it doesn't have the same meaning that it originally had for me. But since writing that song, I've performed it every time that someone I know is leaving, and it's my goodbye song. So it does really bring up a lot of feelings for me, because it's not just one situation, it's the memory of all of the times that I've performed that, and many times that I play that I'll cry. Same with Silence. I often will cry a little bit when I'm singing. You know what, it has to come out somehow, and singing brings it out. The third song on the album is I Will Never Take You Away. That is a song that I've never performed live. Never. I wrote it during the pandemic. That song is about loving someone without ownership, and also kind of longing for it. You know, like yeah, I want a relationship. Yeah, I want more from this, but I'm not going to make it happen. I'm not going to force something that wasn't meant to be. So this song is about allowing things to be what they are, and allowing myself to still love them despite things not being exactly how I maybe would have wanted. I don't know, there's a lot of conflict in that song because while I was writing that song, and even still to this day, I'm still figuring out how I feel. So there's a lot of contradiction and uncertainty. The thing that isn't uncertain is my love. And so that, like, I sing I love you in it many times. But I will never take you away is like, I'm not going to actively force you into something that isn't right for you. And then we move on to song number 4, We All Fall Down. And that song was the last song I wrote before I left my husband. So as you can imagine, it is heavy. And it's a reminder that we all fall down. You know, we all have times that are really hard. You can hear there's the choirs in that song, and they come in just like gently in the background, slowly fading in. We All Fall Down was not intended to be on the album at first, and it was like a really impulsive decision to include it on the album. And it was just like, we recorded it at like 3 a.m. I think we did like 1 or 2 takes. And that's what you hear on the record. And then we did some overdubs with the piano and redid the vocals. So that's a good song to cry to. Absolutely. And then the 5th song is Without You, which comes out next week. And I am so excited because I love this song. If the Smiths and the Cars wrote a song together, it would sound like Without You. Without You is one of the newer songs. I wrote it 2 years ago, so just at the beginning of the pandemic, just as the pandemic was kind of becoming a thing in Canada, but it was already a thing in other parts of the world. And it was about someone that I'm totally in love with, but very far away from, and dealing with that. But it also, like many of my songs, started out as that, but when I perform it, when I play it, sometimes I think about other people that are really close to me and people that I miss. And so it's not always about that one person, even though it was written about that one person. Sometimes I'm thinking about other people. It's a little bit angsty in there too, because I'm never never just happy to be in love. I'm usually slightly angry at myself for falling in love. But it's a really good song. I hope you like it. It's coming out next week, Without You. The 6th song is Anything for You, and it's an older song. And it was written at a time when I was getting really unhealthily attached to people because I was going through such a rough time and I just needed someone. So I would just grab onto someone even if they didn't want me to and just really be into them in like a really unhealthy way. So I was trying, and I knew that I was doing that, but it was hard for me to stop. So writing that song was kind of like me recognizing that I was feeling this very obsessive, unhealthy kind of attachment. So Anything for You has that kind of like darker energy to it, kind of obsessive. And there's a part in the song that's very sweet, and it's like trying to like use all of my charm to get my way, but it's really not, it's not meant to be like a purely romantic song. It's meant to be a little bit too much and like a little bit scary. Because I was a little bit scared of myself, and I'm sure I was scaring, the people I was attached to. I'm sorry. I was in a weird space. Number 7 on the album is All the Other Ones, and that was a jam with Matt Dameron, William, and Freddie Poulet. We had just come in from a smoke, and the vibes were right. They were, getting a good groove going with the music, and William just like knew that he should record this, so he did. And I'm so glad that he did, because then we had something to work with, and it came out almost perfect, just as it was in terms of the composition of the song. And so we tried as best as we could to stay faithful to that original improvised jam, but like with much better production value, because it was originally recorded on like an iPhone. It's hard for me to pin down what that's about because in the moment I was feeling all sorts of things and just kind of like channeling whatever was coming to me. And I think some of it was reflective of how I was feeling. And then afterwards, I was listening back and it started bringing up ideas. And so then I was editing some of the lyrics to sort of reflect these other ideas of, people who are kind of left to the margins of society, all the other ones, people who don't fit into boxes. And, we have all these ideas of like, men are a certain way, women are a certain way. Even if you're like not a man or a woman, there's like kind of an idea of how to be trans, there's a lot of ideas that, so when I was editing these lyrics, I had that in mind of people who are oppressed because they don't fit into these boxes. They don't fit into these molds. So I was kind of thinking about that when I was editing the lyrics. But truthfully, I think when we were improvising it, sometimes when I write music, I don't really know what it's about. I know the feeling, and I don't always know how to articulate it in a conversational setting. And All the Other Ones was something that I feel more than I know how to articulate. But there is something sort of, reflective and thinking thinking back about all the people that I've rejected, refused, moved on from, and how I'm kind of committed to being like kind of a lone wolf, which I don't want to be committed to that, but I kind of have been. So really, I think that was kind of what was coming out in that moment when it was being improvised. But it's taken on more meanings since originally writing it. Number 8 is Crybaby. And Crybaby I wrote, I guess it was 3 years ago now, because I remember finishing it. Like I started writing it, and then, it was really emotional. It was really hard for me to keep writing it, but it was one of those songs that I started writing it, and then, the first couple verses and the chorus really stayed with me, and I'd be walking around Montreal singing it to myself, and waiting for all the pedestrians to pass by so that I had the street to myself so I could just like sing it out loud. And so I just walk around Montreal singing that song. And then the end, I finished the song on my 30th birthday. I was so depressed turning 30. Not really because of the age, but because of where I thought I would be at this point in my life and how far away from that I am. And I was really like looking at a lot of my choices, and I was worried that I had made horrible mistakes, and what have I done? I'm poor and like single, and things were changing all the time, and I just really felt like I had destroyed my life. But Crybaby was kind of a pep talk for me to remind myself to keep going, that it's not for nothing, that I've experienced things that I never would have otherwise, that I really value. All the people that I've met, all the conversations I've had, it's really valuable to me, and I never would have had that if I hadn't have taken that leap of faith and just tried to live the life that I wanted to be living, even though I didn't quite hit the mark, but I didn't go too far off. If you pay attention to the lyrics, it's pep talk. That I was absolutely crying while I was writing the song, tears streaming down, and and I didn't want to stifle my tears, but I did want to remind myself that all was not lost, to pick myself back up and keep going. And then number 9 is Give Me to the Season, which was the first single to be released. So you've probably all heard it. If you haven't, you should check it out. It's very good. I wrote it at last year at the holiday season, around the winter solstice, when the cases were climbing. It was very scary. We were all in lockdown. I was in my apartment by myself. We weren't visiting family. I wasn't visiting friends. And I felt very alone, and I was just seeing all of the Christmas decorations everywhere, and all of the rainbows in the windows, and being acutely aware that many, many lives were being lost. And that song was also kind of trying to recognize how depressing that was, while trying to transform that into a place of hope. And I really wanted to end the album on that. This is temporary. Things will change. And they'll be different. Hopefully for the better. So that is the whole album. 9 songs. It's 45 minutes. So if you do the math, there's some very long songs on there. We had incredible musicians that I have been showcasing on my Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to learn more about the album, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and you can find all those things. These musicians are incredible, and I am so excited to play these songs live. I don't have any shows booked right now. It's been kind of, the world is in chaos. So booking shows isn't really very wise to do yet, because we don't know what the future holds. So I'm trying to wait things out until we're in a better place with the pandemic so that we can start booking shows, or alternatively, I might try to get some funding to film a concert with these musicians. And that could be really cool, because if I can get it the way I want it, we'll be in a cool location with amazing musicians, and I've been working with really great people, and I can't wait to showcase all of them. So I hope you like this album. Pre-order it if you can, if you want to. You can pre-order it on vinyl, pre-order it on cassette. If you order it on vinyl or cassette, you will get a download card so that you can have the digital downloads in addition to your analog music. Yeah, this is really fun and exciting, and thank you for coming along for the ride. This has been a huge part of my life, most of it anyways. And I'm really glad that you're coming along for this journey and following along with me. It really means a lot, so thank you. These experiences are awesome, but they're even more awesome if I get to share them with people. So the more people who watch this, the better. So share this with your friends and family who you think might be interested. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can sign up for my Patreon if you want to help support this project and future projects. I've already got ideas on future projects. Lots of things are coming down the line. So please like, subscribe, and